In this video, I'll demonstrate how Patron notices work in the ReShare system. Patron notices are administered from the Settings app, and you can reach this by clicking on the Settings button up here at the top of the screen. You'll need to click on Resource Sharing, and then you'll see there's two settings related to notices. We have Notice Policies and Notice Templates. And those two things work together to create the notices that your patrons will receive. The first thing we'll look at is notice templates. So you can see we've got two notice templates in here. We have canceling a request and we have an end of rota notice. And those are two of the three types of notices that ReShare currently supports. The third type of notice is a request confirmation notice for new requests. And you can create notices for any of those three. You don't have to use them all and you don't have to use any of them. So if you don't want your patrons to receive notices from ReShare, you can just skip this setup entirely. I'm going to open the cancel request notice and I'll go ahead and click the edit button for this just so we can see what this looks like. So notice templates define what the notices your patrons receive will actually look like. The fields here at the top, the name and description, are just informational for staff. Your patrons will never see those. What they will see is the subject and body of the email that you're defining here. So you can create a subject line and then create the text of your email. One thing you'll notice is that some of the text in this email is between two sets of curly brackets. And those are called tokens, and the tokens are basically variables that stand in for real information from the request that will be pulled into the notice when it's sent. And you can insert tokens into the body of your email. You can also use them in the subject line. And you can use this little button here that looks like two curly brackets. When you click that, it's going to bring up a set of tokens, and you can select what you'd like to use and then click add token, and it's just going to put that text into your email. And you can move this around, you can copy and paste it, you can put punctuation marks directly around it, and it will behave just like regular text. If you do want to use a token in the subject line, I would also just recommend copying and pasting that token and putting it up here in the subject line. And then you can use the preview button to show what your email will look like when it's sent. So you can see we're seeing an actual title here as well as a cancellation reason. And you can see that token that I just kind of put in as an example. So I'll go ahead and delete this and just save this. And so I can create a notice template for each of the types of notices that ReShare supports. I can actually create multiple notices for the different types, and you'll see when we're creating policies the way that you might want to swap out different types of notices, maybe at different times of the year. The other thing I'll just highlight here in the actions menu, you can duplicate an existing template if you want to create an alternate version of it, and you can also edit and delete your templates here. So then the next thing we'll look at is notice policies, and policies are going to control when specific notices are sent. And so I've got one here called test notice policy, and I'm just going to go ahead and edit this so we can take a look at it. And so you can see we have a policy name, and this is just kind of a name that tells you what this policy is for, and you can add a description as well. And policies can also be active or inactive. And ReShare only supports one active policy at any given time, but you may wish to create several policies and then you can turn on the appropriate one as needed. And again, that might be something like if your library is going to be closed for an extended period, you might want to create an alternate set of notices and activate those instead. In the notices area, this is where we define when notices are sent, and this is based on what we call triggers. So you can see there's already one in here where we have selected one of our templates. That was the end of rota notice that we saw. We can select a format, and right now we only support email. And then you have to select a trigger for when the notice is sent. And so ReShare will not enforce this, but you want to make sure that your trigger matches the content of your notice. So in this case, we have an end of rota notice and the trigger is end of rota. And if I open this up, I can see the other possible triggers, a new request or a request canceled. So I'll click Add Notice, and I'm going to add another trigger for the template that we just created. So I'm going to choose Cancel Request, which is that template we were looking at. I'll choose Email as my format, and then for my trigger, I'm going to choose Request Canceled. And then if I don't actually have a template in the system for a new request right now, but if I created one, I could add that as well. So again, you can add any or all of these triggers. You don't have to use them, or you can only use a subset of them that are useful to you. And then we'll save and close this. And now that we have an active notice policy in place, our patrons should start receiving these notices when requests are canceled or when they reach the end of the rota. And as ReShare evolves, we will add additional types of notices, and it will be easy to just add those into your existing policies by creating new templates and then adding new triggers to your policies.